Thanks for joining St. George News at 8. I'm Scott Beadle. A structure fire at an abandoned building destroyed a part of St. George's history late Wednesday night.
We've got a terrible structure fire here with the old Wilkinson Electric building. It wasn't in use. It's been abandoned and boarded up, and always scary when something like this happens, and no other nearby structures that were greatly affected. And so we're glad for a quick report and quick response by St. George Fire Department.
The concern is, one, how the fire started, whether it's we have homeless people maybe living in there, so that's a concern at this point. Like I said, we were unable to search when we arrived. It was fully involved. We're not sure if at this point if it's suspicious, but it did seem to accelerate quite rapidly. We had reports from some of the witnesses there were fireworks going off in the area just prior to the fire. We're looking into that also. It sounds like the condition of the roof was quite deteriorated. Some of the roof membrane was off, and there was bare wood sheathing, so that could be a possibility that started on the roof and burned down through. We had a lot of smoke that was heading south of the fire into residential areas and apartments down there, so our police officers did a great job of going down in that area and assessing it, keeping us posted, where if we had any problems with health, breathing problems with neighbors down there, residents that we could respond to. But it did blanket the downtown area. Once we got the fire knocked down, the heat's not there to raise the smoke up anymore, so it does lay very low into the homes. We had a very quick response from our stations downtown. Like I said, they set up for defensive fire, set up their large streams, and were able to knock it down quickly. So again, just grateful for the department we have and our staff to do a fantastic job at doing what they're trained to do.
And frankly, they're getting ready to demolish this and other buildings to build the new Jewel Plaza project. So it's good that it wasn't something that was in use at the time, but it just again speaks to the very intense heat and dryness these days, and the importance of being really careful with whatever we're doing, whether it's construction as well as, of course, fireworks and anything else that might cause a spark. So for now, it looks like it could have been very, very scary. Things have been averted and solved by our wonderful St. George Fire Department.
An Idaho man who led police on a pursuit Tuesday morning was hospitalized for stitches after police forced him to the ground for trying to take an officer's gun. 44-year-old Chad Don Ramsey faces a felony charge for attempting to disarm a police officer and another felony for failing to stop on command. Ramsey also faces a number of misdemeanors, including resisting arrest, theft, open container in a vehicle, and possession of a controlled substance. He's listed as a transient from Idaho. Police say he was traveling to California when he was arrested. Ramsey is in the Iron County Correctional Facility on a $20,000 bond. There's been some miscommunication regarding the fate of the community garden by Thunder Junction. City officials say while additional parking spaces for all abilities would eventually overtake the garden, there's been confusion about the garden's fate. While some residents say they received letters saying this will be the last year for the garden, St. George Mayor John Pike says that location was never meant to be permanent and that the goal is to relocate the garden. Pike says he and the City Council recognize the benefit the community garden has to those who use it, and it's their intention to find another spot for it. Pike says relocation likely won't happen until sometime next year. President Trump's overseas trip continues in Germany ahead of the G20 summit. Maggie Rulli is in Washington with more.
Using tear gas and water cannons, German police battle thousands of protesters demonstrating against capitalism outside the G20 summit. As President Trump touches down in Hamburg, he's greeted with a formal handshake from German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Just hours earlier, Merkel took what sounded like an indirect dig at President Trump, saying in globalization, there must not always be losers where there are winners.
Das ist eine Win-Win-Situation.
At almost the same time, President Trump had a subtle slight of his own against Germany.
The West became great, not because of paperwork and regulations, but because people were allowed to chase their dreams.
The two don't see eye to eye on trade issues or climate change, both major topics at this year's G20. Also high on the list, North Korea.
It's a threat, and we will confront it
very strongly.
And Russia. On Friday, President Trump sits down with Russian President Vladimir Putin for the first time. But today, he avoided placing the blame for last year's election hack solely on Russia.
I think it could very well have been Russia, but I think it could well have been other countries.
But 17 U.S. intelligence agencies have concluded that Russia meddled in the 2016 election, trying to help then-candidate Trump.
Chief Meteorologist Chris Summers has your Southern Utah forecast right after this.
The weather tonight is brought to you by AWI Networks, smarter internet.
And welcome back, everyone. A good Thursday evening to you. More hot weather out there today as our temperatures made it back to 112 degrees as our high temperature here in St. George. That's just a couple degrees below that record of 115 back in 1985. Our overnight lows into the upper 70s. Still very warm, very dry air expected across our area here the next several days. And going to keep that heat wave going even as we get ready for the weekend. So excessive heat warning still in effect for much of the area as we get to Friday. And that excessive heat warning and also the red flag warning to our north will continue as we see very dry air continuing across our area. And again, those temperatures into the triple digits here late this afternoon. Take a look at our high temperatures from throughout the area, then upper 90s to again triple digits in most areas. 111 degrees the high temperature Hurricane, 99 the high temperature Cedar City, and 101 in Enterprise, 111 in Mesquite, and 113 degrees the high temperature down in Las Vegas. For tonight, low 60s in Cedar City. Otherwise, everyone else upper 70s, close to 80 for the overnight low here with mainly clear skies. East winds continuing at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Cedar City for your Friday. We'll see temperatures get back near 97 as you get to Friday afternoon. Again, partly to mostly sunny skies expected. And for St. George, again, southern Utah, lots of sunshine. Temperatures near 111 for a high for your Friday afternoon. Southwest winds up to 5 to 10 miles per hour. But really more of the same as we head into the weekend. Sunny, dry, and remaining hot. And even as we get to early next week, then still seeing some very warm temperatures. Did see look like an isolated chance of some rain. There has been some rain around Utah, but unfortunately, nothing here in our area. The rain's been staying to our north and to our east. And looks like that's where we'll continue here over the next several days. We'll keep the heat wave in full force here across parts of the area. Again, high pressure controlling our weather. That heat wave will continue. We'll see those temperatures well above average. Record highs being challenged. And again, heat exhaustion, really a big risk out there. Anytime you spend any amount of time outdoors, you need to make sure you're drinking plenty of fluids and find the shade tree as much as possible as well. And again, with all the heat and all the dryness, also seeing some reduced air quality across parts of southern Utah as well. So some dangerous conditions here over the next couple of days. Taking a look at our temperatures, and as we get to your Friday, back to the upper 90s to near 100, 97 the high in Cedar City, 100 degrees in Enterprise, and 100 in Newcastle. As you get to southern Utah and St. George, temperatures near 111 for a high temperature, 115 for Mesquite, and 116 for Littlefield as you wake up on our Friday. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast for Cedar City. Again, seeing temperatures into the mid-90s as we get into the weekend. Early next week may get back in the low 90s or in Cedar City. It may bring a chance of a shower in by about Tuesday, but again, that chance is pretty weak even right now. Temperatures over the weekend, again, 110 on Saturday, 107 on Sunday, 102 by early next week, and may drop back to near 100 by the time we get to Wednesday of next week. So seeing some signs of some trying to get a little bit cooler weather back into our area, but unfortunately when you have such a big area of high pressure and this big dome of hot air, it's really hard to kind of break it down, and we're going to try to really work on it next week, at least get back closer to normal. Our normal high is about 101, but get back closer to normal compared to being
so a little bit.
Compared to being 10 to 15 degrees, over our normal highs.
All right, thanks, Chris. We'll be right back with a preview of George Fest. It is a new month, which means George Fest gets underway in St. George tomorrow. This month's theme is All-American George, and the festivities will be delayed rather than starting at 6 p.m. The fun will begin at 8 p.m. with the main stage concert, Food Truck Village, and Jazz Garden, all at Green Gate. George Fest will then run through midnight. Organizers say they want to wait till later in the evening since it's so hot outside so that residents can beat the heat a little bit. George Fest is free to attend, though the Jazz Garden has a $5 cover charge. For a full list of activities, visit George Fest online at georgestreetfest.com. Thanks for watching.
We hope you have a great night.